I've been seeing a lot about Preston from Short Wars coming into Toon and I'm very against it, so I wanted to talk about it just to get my opinion out there. I will preface this by saying this isn't meant as an attack on Dano or anyone who worked on Short Wars or Toon. I just think I'm seeing something stupid unfold and wanted to comment on it. This video will also have spoilers for both Toon and Short Wars, and basic reading ability is needed to fully enjoy this video, yada yada. First, I'll give a little exposition on what I'm actually talking about. If you don't know, Short Wars was an ARG which was contributed to by an animator called Dano Cow Drawings, whose mascot, Riggy the Rabbit Monkey, got cloned into this guy, Preston. Dano later went on to create a show called Toon, which also stars Riggy and shows the events of his life. Obviously, since Toon is going to show events from 2023 to the present day in its later seasons, Preston and the events of Short Wars have to be at least mentioned, if not actually showing characters from it. There's only one issue with that. Half the fanbase of Short Wars loves Preston. Dano has said before that he is prone to bending to the will of the fans, and I think this is why Dano is putting Preston in Toon. A few loud fans want to see him again, and that's it. It feels unsatisfying to me because we chose during the end of Short Wars to convict Preston and have him die. That was entirely the viewers' doing, and bringing Preston back invalidates that. The creators told us time and time again that we would never see the bad ending, because our choice there mattered, but now it doesn't. The consequence of our action has been erased. And if one of the only two deaths Dano's characters have suffered is being reversed, what happens to the other one? He keeps telling us not to trust him with anyone because they can die at any moment. But honestly, now that we know any character can come back, those deaths won't mean anything. They're empty. Riggy has also mentioned Preston on his Twitter a couple times, and I want to talk about how those impact Short Wars retroactively too. On the 3rd of September 2025, Riggy tweeted about how Preston doesn't remember who he is. Of course, the science of souls is not perfect, so we can't exactly tell why this is, but that's just the problem. There isn't an explanation. This irks me because if there was an explanation, it would have been in Short Wars, since Francis Dave, Preston's other half, so to speak, would have discovered and wrote about this in his research. Since there isn't an explanation in Short Wars, there will have to be one in Toon, and going through that effort would take time away from Riggy's story and focus more on a man who really shouldn't be relevant. Riggy also made a tweet on the 4th of February mentioning how Preston wasn't fully evil and didn't have a full soul with a full memory. I can get behind him not being fully evil, since his character deteriorated into a wacky funny caricature of himself who didn't really do anything bad by the end of Season 2 and especially into Season 3, but not having a full soul confuses me. If he means that Preston never had a full soul, this implies a retcon to the logic that a body having two souls leads it to start cracking. With this, Preston either never would have started cracking, or the boss would have died in, like, 2007, since his soul was also tampered with, leading him to crack. His soul was restored but likely left with a bit of excess, and if even the slightest excess could lead to breaking, as Riggy might imply here, the boss would have died before Short Wars even started. There is a milder explanation for this tweet, though, which is that after Preston died and his and Dave's souls were separated, they were each split wrong, leaving Preston to not have a full soul. This makes a little more sense, but again, it would have to be explained in Toon, which would take time away from the point of the show. Generally, I think Preston's death should have been final, and that permanence of our choice to kill him shouldn't be reversed just so Dano can participate in fan service. That's pretty much all I have to say, so I'll leave you off with a clip from the Season 3 Q&A.
Yeah, will we see Preston in the future?
Preston is dead. He's dead. He died on his grave. You saw his grave, dude. He's buried.